that.
Good evening. Welcome to the January 11th Economic Development Commission meeting of the City of Burnsville. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Looking for an adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Great,
Second.
Thank you, Chris and Jeff. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Approval of the minutes from November 9th, 2016. Any questions? Looking for a motion for approval?
A motion to approve the agenda of the minutes from last meeting.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, review of the draft of the 2017 work plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As the commission knows, each year, we draft a work plan for the year. That work plan will be presented to the council by the chair at their February meeting. The council will also have a work session, an all-day retreat at the end of January, and there could be some items added to your work plan after that council work session. But what I'd like to do is go through the accomplishments from last year, present a draft that staff has proposed for your work plan for this year, get any additions, deletions, changes, or comments regarding that draft. And then I'd like to also review our ends and outcome statements and show you the accomplishments we've had towards those ends and outcome statements, and then also get any comments or additions or deletions that you have for those. Last year, the Economic Development Commission recommended that the EDA adopt the Assaford TIF contract, which the EDA did. Unfortunately, the landowner and the applicant were not able to actually come together on price, so we never actually executed that contract. The EDC also recommended adoption of the TIF 8 plan, which was adopted by the EDA at last month's meeting, and the landowner is now marketing the property for some sort of development, hopefully this spring. We reviewed the open to business results for last year at one of your meetings. We reviewed the greater MSP results at one of your meetings, both of which you made indications that you thought we should continue with, and both of those are in our budget for this year to continue. And then in November at your last meeting, we did review the legislative agenda, which is now in force and has been presented to our legislators. There were two items on your work plan last year that we did not take any actions on. One was the comp plan. We did not hold any meetings with the commission relative to the comp plan, which we are obviously going to take care of tonight in our work session, which will be our first set of what will probably be 4 meetings this year to discuss the comp plan. We also did not hold a BECREC event, which is the event that we hold to showcase Burnsville to the commercial brokers. That is somewhat of good news. The reason we did not hold a BECREC event is when we convened the BECREC group last year, they said that they really didn't have any significant vacancies to showcase, so the decision was to just not have the event and not have the brokers come in, because we didn't really have any really significant spaces to show them. So that, to a certain extent, that's actually a good thing to have happened last year. We will actually, at the end of this month, get the BECREC group again and together and see if we should plan an event for this year. For this year, what staff is recommending for your work plan is Industrial Equities, which is the purchaser of the land in the TIF 8 district, should be coming before you sometime this spring with a development contract, so that will be on your work plan. As I previously mentioned, we will actually focus on the comp plan this year, and there are 4 meetings right now planned for the comp plan to be reviewed by this group. We will once again bring the open to business before you and showcase the results of that. We will bring the greater MSP initiative before you and showcase the results of that. And then we will also bring the legislative agenda for 2018 before you for your comments on that. And as I've previously mentioned, we do hope that we would probably do some sort of Beck Rec event this year. With that being said, there are two recommendations from staff. One of them is a housekeeping. Our policy does require that two of the commissioners be part of the Beck Rec group. Last year, Commissioner Coppin and Commissioner John were on the Beck Rec group. This year, you need to appoint two others, could be the same, or any two others. And then staff would recommend that, you recommend that City Council adopt your work plan. And certainly at this point, if you have any discussions, comments, questions, anything you want added to the work plan, we should have that discussion now, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? Any comments? So a motion to approve this first and then discuss the Beck Rec, or,
We should probably do the two commissioners to the Beck Rec first, Mr. Chair.
okay,
I'd be happy to serve again.
okay,
I can do it again if someone else doesn't want to do it.
thank you.
And then if you want to have a motion to adopt the plan, we'll incorporate the two commissioners into the plan.
Certainly. So a motion to adopt the plan and have Chris and Susan serve on the Beck Rec?
So moved.
Craig, thank you. Second,
Second?
Jeff or Dan?
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd also like to cover our ends and outcome statements. The ends and outcome statements are basically the overriding goals and philosophies for the city. In the area of development and redevelopment, we have one end statement, and that's kind of our broader goal for development and redevelopment, and that statement reads, "People find Burnsville a balanced city of residential and business development enhanced by redevelopment." There are basically two things under that area last year that we did that we believe contribute to that. Under the banner of Beck Rec, we do a quarterly newsletter to all of the brokers, and then we do an e-greeting on all of the holidays. And the idea is to basically keep our name in front of all of the brokers. And then staff does periodically meet with different residential realtor groups that service the Burnsville area. And the purpose of those meetings is to give them the information of what's going on in Burnsville, things that are happening, things that are changing, answer their questions and everything else. And we think by balancing out both the commercial and the residential, we get a message out there that Burnsville is a community that whether you want to live here or work here or both, you can come here. Our outcomes are smaller little goals that we have on a yearly basis. And we have a couple of them under development and redevelopment. The first one is job creation, retention, and an enhanced tax base are assured by growth, redevelopment, and sustained viability of commercial and industrial properties. Under that area, last year, we're happy that we did attract 39 new businesses to Burnsville. For the second year in a row, we had an exhibit at the MinCar Expo, which is the association of all the commercial brokers. It is probably the best show that we've ever exhibited at. We get a lot of traffic at our booth, and it does give us an opportunity to present our story to a broad base of commercial brokers. Typically, there'll be around 500 brokers that attend that show. And then for a number of years, we have been a member of something called the Minnesota Marketing Partnership, which is a state-driven organization whose goal it is to market the state of Minnesota to outside developers. And they go to a number of shows around the country marketing the state, and we've brought site selectors in and showcased Burnsville and other communities. So we think that helps contribute to that outcome. The next outcome we have is economic development and redevelopment initiatives are implemented, including creating and capturing opportunities, partnering with private property owners and other agencies, and engaging the public. And we have some specific initiatives under that outcome that we're focused on. The first one is Heart of the City. I can tell you that of the properties in Heart of the City, both residential and commercial, we have extremely limited vacancies. Most of our residential is completely full, and there's only a few retail vacancies available. We did have a product in the heart of the city called Villas of Burnsville that for a number of years only had 10 townhomes of the original 14 constructed. The final 4 were constructed this past year, and one of them is actually already sold. So we've finished off that development. And then, as you all know, we do hold multiple events in Nicollet Commons Park and heart of the city to bring everyone into that area, which we think helps us with that outcome. The other area that we focus on in that outcome is the MRQ. And in the past year, we have reconstructed Cliff Road, DuPont Road, Jimmer, and half of Lady Bird Lane, and we will do the other half of Lady Bird Lane this year. The idea is to get that whole circle around that one area of Lady Bird and DuPont, all the roadways reconstructed, so that the properties that are down there, and Alsaford has a number of vacant parcels that they're marketing, is to get that area set up so that developers will want to come and go, and at least the roadways look nice and they can get in there and everything looks good. Park Jeep also, this past year, completed the soil remediation of the property behind the Jeep dealership that they own, and we expect within the next year or two that they will build an office warehouse on that facility. So things are beginning to move in the MRQ. Under that area, another initiative is the promotion of skilled workforce. We have, one of our staff members is on the executive committee of the Workforce Development Board, and one of our staff members is on the Business Services Committee. So we are very much involved in workforce efforts and initiatives to enhance the skilled workforce in the area. We are also, one of our staff members is a member of Burnsville Promise, and our EDC chair is actually the co-chair of Burnsville Promise, which is an initiative to help kids get post-secondary skill and education and move into a good career. And we've hired an executive director in the last year, and that initiative is really beginning to take some legs and move forward. And then under the Workforce Development Board, there was a new initiative last year called Employers of Excellence, which focused on employers that have excellent types of programs that enhance their retention and attraction of employees. And of the 9 winners last year, 4 of them were actually Burnsville businesses, and it was across Dakota and Scott County competition. So we do believe that we are doing a lot to try and at least focus on the need for a skilled workforce within Burnsville and the surrounding area. Another entry is monuments at key city entrances. We actually had no action on that last year. We do have one of those monuments on Trunk Highway 13 at the east side of Burnsville. We are looking at adding another monument. We have to go through some new design because MnDOT has changed some of their rules about the types of monuments and what you can do. And eventually, the hope is that every one of the entry points to Burnsville, there would be a key monument. And every few years, we would do one of those monuments, basically not to have all the cost in one single year. The other outcome in development and redevelopment is specific development or redevelopment assistance will provide for business and residential projects consistent with established policies. We believe the TIF 8 plan helps us in that outcome, and our Open to Business program helps us in that outcome. And those were the efforts toward that outcome that we did last year. At this time, Mr. Chair, if the commission has any recommendations for any additional outcomes that council should consider, any outcomes that you think no longer have value that you believe council should consider deleting for this year and upcoming years, or any other recommendations regarding them, we would take them back to council at this point, and we would certainly entertain that discussion.
I just have one question. Is there any tracking that goes on with businesses closed or that moved out of Burnsville?
No.
Okay.
But I can tell you that the 39 spots had to come open because somebody left.
Theoretically.
Yeah.
I have a couple comments for you, and to the extent I don't know that we can impact any of this, but on the monuments at the key city entrances, I just, a thought for you, I think it'd be great if we digitized those monuments so that we could promote activities within the cities. So as residents come and go, they're seeing what's going on, whether it's a sporting event or something in the Commons Park or whatever it might be, to try to help us a little bit coordinate some of the events as a community. And then as far as another item that's out there that I wonder about, is that the retail right now is going through significant changes. As the growth of .com increases, as we're seeing dramatic increase right now, it puts additional pressure on the traditional storefronts. And I'm wondering if we should be thinking about attention at all to the Burnsville Mall area with some of the large retailers that are going through transition right now and the impact that potentially has to that area. Just food for thought, and maybe it's not timing for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. As it relates to the retail, are you thinking that that should be something that we add to as one of our outcomes? Or is it something that maybe we should put on your work plan for some future?
I guess probably the work plan would make sense, yeah.
All right. Then I think we'd have to have a motion from the commission to add, since we've already had a motion to recommend adoption, to add that as one of the items on the, for possible addition to the work plan. If the commission agrees that's something that should be on the work plan. It will also be somewhat of a comp plan discussion also.
Well, I would support that. I believe that's already in the comp plan, from what I understand, but if we want to add it to the work plan, I'm definitely in support of that.
You certainly can add it to your work plan and call it out for greater scrutiny.
Is that something we would want to do?
Can you redefine what you're saying? So
Well-
because the .com businesses,
Is, the stores of the future are more and more looking like warehouses as people do more commerce through the internet. And as a result, it's putting a lot of pressure on traditional retailers. And we're seeing that transition with Macy's just announcing they're closing in downtown Minneapolis, for instance. And so you're seeing pressure, and we're going to see more of that pressure. And so it impacts communities like Burnsville that are regional shopping centers, shopping hubs. And so I'm just wondering if we should be a little bit forward on that to try to put some effort into that and thinking through that a little bit.
I'd like to make a motion that we do add that to our work plan.
Second.
Okay, Dan, second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
To amending that.
Mr. Chair. And I'm assuming that there's no additions, deletions, or comments regarding the ends and outcomes?
Sandra, Craig, do you guys have any?
No.
Brad? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, I believe that concludes.
We do have one update, if I could,
Oh,
Mr. Chair.
okay, I'm sorry.
We will have an additional meeting next month on February 8th. It will be a work session only, again, for further discussion of the comp plan, just so that you make sure we get those on your calendars. And then in the background on the updates, I did put in all the regular meetings that we will hold this year. As it stands right now, the additional comp plan meetings will all fall on regular EDC meeting nights and times. So it'll be similar to what we're going to do tonight. We'll have our meeting and then we'll adjourn and do the work session. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Sandra?
Second?
Jeff, second? All in support?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioners. And we should assemble down here.